Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. I'm in my hotel room in Kyoto, Japan, and I thought I would share a little video with you having the Axial SCX-10 Coyote RTR comp truck in a video with the Vanquish VRD Mullet. Now, I'm not really comparing these two trucks to each other, but I just happened to have them with me at the time and thought, what better way to have some fun at the Devil's Playground than with both of these trucks. Now, this first obstacle is not a difficult one at all. The Devil's Pulpit, really just designed to sort of get us started and create sort of a baseline so we have a good idea of what both trucks are going to look like on the rocks. And there's a lot of different rock faces and tests that I perform at this location, and does give you a really good idea of what both trucks are capable of. The test really starts here with the Devil's Kneecap. This is a fairly difficult obstacle. Not a lot of trucks can do this right away, but as you can see, the SCX-10 Coyote gets itself into a pretty deep rut, and I gave this a pretty good attempt a few times over. The problem with the Coyote straight out of the box is I think the shocks are a bit too long. I believe they're about 100 millimeter shock, which they've set up on the portals, and it's just way too much travel. I think it sets the body and chassis up way too high, and its center of gravity is, really dramatically affected by it. So I think I gave this about 3 tries before I decided that it wasn't going to make it, no matter what line choice I made. It was sort of not really showing that it was really capable of making it. So gave up and moved on to the Mullet. And just to show that the Mullet, while vastly superior truck in a lot of different ways, it did struggle a little bit, and that's probably due to my poor line choice. I tend to need to find the proper line a couple of times, and just finding the right amount of grip really does make a difference. Now, one other thing that is helping the Mullet considerably over the stock SCX-10 Coyote is that I am running the new, yet-to-be-released Vanquish F10 straight axle brass knuckles. And you can see that it made pretty quick work of that obstacle. Next up, Devil's Butt Crack. Neither truck should have any trouble with this one. It's pretty straightforward. Coyote makes quick work of it, no trouble at all. And just to prove that the Mullet is not infallible, big word, I did manage to lose it here and flip it right over the side. Here's the Devil's Satans. This is sort of a combination of Devil's Butt Crack and Devil's Backbone. It's sort of like an off-camber, side hill sort of situation, and Coyote didn't have much luck with that one. Mullet, I'm going to chalk this up to line choice. It did a much better job, but also the front weights helped tremendously. So that's one upgrade I would definitely consider right away. Now on to the Devil's Backbone. This is a very good test of side hilling capability, and that high center of gravity on the Coyote really does kind of let it down. Maybe line choice would help a little bit here, but the front heavy weights of the Mullet really kind of showed it to be very capable there. Onto the Valley of the Devils, or at least the sort of the top portion of the Valley of the Devils. I guess it's the peak of the Valley of the Devils. Just showing a little off-camera work there. Both the Mullet and the SCX-10 Coyote had no trouble there at all. Just sort of showing a flexibility stance sort of test and see if it's capable of making it over, or something that's a little bit off-camber like that. Both trucks really excelled there, show how capable they really are. They're both really excellent trucks. Coyote, for an RTR, sets the bar pretty high. It's got a great price, good entry-level pricing, nice quality tires, and a good-looking body with a new clipless system that is really, really trick. Now on to the Devil's Deviated Septum. There's a little bit of a crawl required here, and it can really trip up trucks. I've had a few trucks that have not been able to complete this task, and unfortunately, spoiler alert, the Coyote is one of them. It seemed to have a fair bit of trouble getting up over that first hump, and once you find the right line, it did find it, but it's a lot of struggle. And if you're looking at this from a comp perspective, the fewer number of reverses you have to take, the better. So, I mean, maybe spend more time looking at an obstacle before you try to get right up it. The Mullet, on the other hand, I believe I did take this truck up first, so it wasn't so much about line choice as it was about just finding the right line immediately. Mullet had no problem at all. Cheekbone of the Devil presents a lot of the same problems for the Coyote. Again, it's one of these sort of high sort of climbs with some roots and ruts that really kind of can trip up a lot of trucks, and this is no different. It had a hard time here and just could not get enough forward bite. And I think, you know, this kind of shows the importance of some weight up front on the axle as low as you could get it. Now, of course, being a full portal axle truck, there still is a higher center of gravity that you're going to have to compensate for. So a little bit more weight down low on a truck like this is certainly going to help. Unfortunately, I don't have any weights for the SCX-10-3 Coyote, and I did want to try to show this truck in its stock form, so nothing has been modified. The Mullet, on the other hand, again, it's really showing its capability. That straight axle front and portal axle rear really does present some really advantageous setup options. Here's the Valley of the Devils. SCX-10-3, again, having trouble. It's got a much higher center of gravity. I don't find these overseas produced Trapidors to be very good. The foams are not great. The compound is really super soft. It's, in fact, I think it's too soft, especially for the conditions that I run a lot of trucks in. Your mileage may vary, of course, but also the shocks are, I think, a little too long for this truck. It puts it way up high, and I can't really, and I haven't spent a lot of time on this, but I can't see a really easy way of adjusting those shocks or lowering them, or other than changing out springs, I don't know that there's much you can do, and I don't think that just changing springs is enough. Certainly not enough adjustability. So unfortunately, the Coyote can't make it up the Valley of the Devils. Really, I'm not I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. So again, another failed obstacle for the Coyote. No matter what line choice I tried to make, there were a lot of flips. And then, just to show you that it is possible, here's the Mullet doing it on attempt number 1, which I have to admit is pretty amazing. Though it's, again, not a fair comparison because these are not trucks I would typically compare. One's a kit, one's an RTR. Not at all the same thing whatsoever. But it does go to show how well the Mullet works, set up stock. And again, a little more flipping over end action here. Here we are at the Devil's Hot Dog Cart. Not typically a difficult obstacle, but Coyote kind of got a little bit tipsy, topsy-turvy on its first attempt, and then made it through on the second attempt. Vanquish, Mullet, showing what a comp truck is capable of, and again, makes pretty quick work of this sort of V gap, as I believe West Desert Wheeler refers to them as. good looking truck. I love how these trucks look on these obstacles. Now this is a very challenging obstacle here. This is Mind the Devil's Gap, and this one does, again, if it's a straight axle truck, it's going to have a hard time with this. Coyote does an amazing job here, surprised me right away. Mullet did have a little bit more of a struggle because of that straight axle front. You really do have to choose your line well. I used more power here than finesse on the first attempt. Once I kind of found the right line, after a couple of attempts, it does make it up. But it does go to show you that where one truck shines, one can falter. It does take a couple more attempts, but Mullet does get through. Hey, it's the climb to the Devil's Cottage, and no truck really gets up this obstacle. That's about, I know it looks bad for the Coyote, but that's about as far as any truck gets. And I gave this a few attempts just to see if I could make something magical happen. And, you know, nothing did. Nothing magical, unless you count magic as backflips. Then I got that. That happened. Yeah, this is not really, this is a bad test. It's a hard test for any truck, and especially hard for a portal axle truck. So nothing is, there's no expectations. And you don't call this a fail because no truck really does anything here. Except the Vanquish Mullet, which after what? This attempt got up the farthest I've ever gotten up this obstacle. I couldn't believe it. And again, it doesn't look like much here, but this is pretty sheer vertical and very, very difficult. So I'm pretty amazed. If you like videos like this, be sure to hit the like button. I really enjoy going out to this location and making these videos. So by all means, if you're interested in this sort of thing and you want to see more trucks, throw a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of those comments as I can. And of course, thanks to all of my ding-dongs for being members. It's very much appreciated. Go outside and get yourself a devil's haircut, which is what I called this obstacle here. Just a good little climb, and it does kind of, if you've got portals or straight axles, there are a few little hang-ups there, so nice to see that they both made it through. And on to this climb here, which is the Devil's Pimple. And the Mullet here did make it up pretty easily, and I did stop here at the top to share that that low pinion doesn't hit rocks. It's a portal axle in the rear. The tires are going to get you over the obstacle before anything else does. So hopefully that's one of the last times we have to talk about that, as it just shows you even on the Portal Coyote, it just works. Now on to the Devil's Visible Panty line. I don't know why these names are, well, I do know why these names are stupid. It's because I came up with them. Mullet has no trouble with it whatsoever, and I think the Coyote didn't have any trouble either. This is a pretty heavy-duty climb, so it's nice to see that Coyote doing some good work there. I think when you see both of these trucks on the rocks, you can still see there's a ton of potential in that Coyote. It obviously needs a bit of setup tuning out of the box, and I'd probably change wheels and tires and add some weight up front. But otherwise, you know, it's a good place to start. And finally today, a good place to end the Devil's happy ending. I'm so sorry for all of that. This is not really an obstacle so much as it is sort of like a full-on climb to the final sort of end point of this whole set of trails. And I haven't really found a great line to get both of them through it. But here we are at the end, and much appreciated for all of you watching. This has been another fun test, and like I said, don't compare these two trucks to each other. That's not a fair comparison. Look at how both trucks perform, Decide if you are looking for a kit, then maybe the Mullet's for you. If you're looking for an RTR that's going to give you plenty of room to modify and change and upgrade, then the Axial Coyote might be for you. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time.